Good afternoon. This is an old photo. It was taken 10 kilograms ago. Glad to be here. A wonderful, wonderful crowd. When I grew up, my career options were quite limited considering the opportunities today. Practically, I could either go to work for the government or work for a corporation. Today, I believe the options are much, much wider. Imagine you had an idea to change the world, to make it a better place. This can be only a very little thing. You see a problem every day and you come up with an idea how to solve it. Back then, 40, 50 years ago, I would have never thought that I can really make a change in the world. Today, all of you can do that. What I'm doing today is something we started 2 years ago with the help of 3 universities. This is the first of its kind initiative in Hungary, the Budapest Technological and Economic University, John von Neumann University, and Budapest Metropolitan University. We pulled our forces together and we created the very first innovation hub that tries to build startups for students from their own ideas. And we try to build teams that are not made of 5 engineers or 4 IT specialists, but very colorful teams. And I believe in diversity and colorfulness, there's a great, great power. Just imagine 5 engineers. They create a fantastic plan, and nobody understands that. Same with IT guys. They have the best solution for a software, but nobody can understand what this solution is for. So that's why it's a very good idea to hire or involve in your team maybe a marketer, maybe a business person, a salesperson, maybe a designer who will make it very sexy for the potential customers. So practically today, any type of idea you might have that can improve the world, and it addresses a realistic goal, I think you can make it work, you can make it successful. Back in those years when we grew up in Hungary, we had very limited choices. Also, it was all about science. Hungarian universities are actually very strong when it comes to science, but all those smart scientists that we gave to the world were really succeeding to make them a business. And if you make an idea a business, it's not a bad thing to do, because once an idea becomes a good business, it will spread all throughout the world, and it will really make an impact on the world. So if your idea is really addressing a real problem, then you will move the world forward. So I believe this is what we have started 2 years ago, and I'm very, very happy that after 1 year of operation, we created 15 startups. 5 of them have received international recognition, and 1 of them have already opened their own business in the United States as well. I will give you a few examples later on. In the last academic year, we created 12 teams, and 3 of them are already succeeding, fighting for investment. And these are great news. Also, the more open you are for those ideas, the more open you are to invite others to your team, the better. Obviously, a team that starts operating on a problem and evaluating what is the issue, how we will address it, how we will understand the customer, whether we are really responding to a customer need, and how we make it a commercial tool to make money on this on the very end. This is a great process, what you can learn. So you don't even have to be creative to come up with a creative team. If you put your brains together, you always find a better solution. One of the teams we built in the last 2 years bought very, very cheap sensors. Those sensors cost about $8, $10. They use 5 of them, and they put them on bridges. And they wire them up with a computer, wirelessly, and they measure. They collect data. And big data, you've probably heard about big data. Big data is a very, very powerful thing. Once you start measuring those vibrations on those bridges, you realize that you can actually predict what's going to happen with that bridge in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time. It turned out, on the side, as a side effect, that these sensors can also measure the traffic. So the very first solution for making this a business was not about understanding the health of the bridge, but it was about measuring traffic, because there was a better, stronger, quicker market need for selling that idea for companies who want to measure traffic on bridges. And it turned out that we found a partner at the University of Central Florida that are trying to find the very same solution through a very, very different way. They set up cars that have sensors all around them, with infrared cameras, ultraviolet cameras, all type of gyroscopes, and they actually go around Florida. Florida is a very special place. It has 64,000 bridges, and obviously they have a big problem because some of those bridges are old. Some of those bridges are kind of before collapsing, and how do you decide from a limited budget which one to repair first? Basically, we combined forces with them, and with our solution, with the cheap sensors, and their solution with the cars going around, it became a much more powerful and much cheaper and more cost-effective solution to defend bridges and making sure that the authorities can repair those bridges quicker. So this is one of our companies. The other one is actually for university students. Everyone has a different style of studying and learning stuff. And what this company does, it's 4 or 5 students, they created this program, they are called Noted. They actually try to understand what is your learning style, your individual learning style. Do you like graphics? Do you like short bullet points to learn from? Do you like the lexical knowledge and you want to read 20 pages on one subject? Or you want just the Wikipedia version of the knowledge? And based on that, this tool, what they created, based on artificial intelligence, it creates you a summary of anything you put in. Your own notes from the lectures, university lectures, your own textbooks, and notes from your teachers and from your colleagues at the same class. This will combine knowledge for you in a way that it can be presented the way how you learn. This is also a very powerful tool and makes your study far more effective. And also we have another company. This is a little bit more remote from my expertise. This is about cybersecurity. This small group of students, they realized that they can watch for phishing companies who are basically evil small software companies who are looking for breaking the code of banks, of getting hold of your PIN code for your bank account, etc., etc. So this type of fraud is very, very common in the world, and it costs a lot of money for individuals, for banks, and for insurers. They realized that they have tools to monitor the web and the dark web, as they call it. I have no idea where to find the dark web, to be honest, but they do. And they created this tool, and by now, after 2 years, they already have a contract with one of the Hungarian banks, and they already stepped onto the international market. In Silicon Valley, they were selected to be one of the top 250 fintech startup companies in the world. So I'm very happy that we have been able to present in such a short period of time those companies. At the Hungarian Innovation Hub, we combine forces of the 3 universities, as I mentioned to you before, but there are many, many of those incubator houses in the country already, and in Europe, and in the US, and in Asia, there's even more. So if you have an idea, don't go it wasted. Also, another good lesson I've learned during my years in innovation, that if you start your own first startup company, you will most likely fail. Approximately 1 or 2 out of 10 will succeed when you create a startup company. At our Innovation Hub, we guarantee the first failure. In Hungary, that's a big deal because Hungarians are really risk-averse. That's why Hungarian scientists like to stick to their science, and they're looking for the next grant, the next publication, the next citation improvement on their index. In the US, it's more about how to make it work in business, how to make it profitable. I believe the combination of the two, the Hungarian mind and the ingenuity and the great great knowledge of commercialization in the US. This is a great combination. That was one of the reasons why in my previous job as an ambassador of Hungary to the US, we created the BPDC. In a funny way, it refers to Budapest and Washington, D.C., but the resolution is Business Promotion and Development Campus that still operates after I left about 4.5 years ago, and we send Hungarian innovative companies to the US market through them. There's many, many opportunities here, either if you stay in Hungary and continue your career in Hungary, or you go elsewhere later after graduation. The choice is yours. You can go and work in the public, you can go and work for a big company, or you can start your own business. And if you combine those experiences, it's even better. When I started my career as a transplant surgeon, I had no idea that I will end up in innovation later on. My family was horrified when they heard that I'm leaving surgery. And then I spent 22 years in pharma industry, spent so many times and years in other countries. I worked in about 60 countries and lived in 7 countries. And I still love it, although I have to tell you, it's still very good to come back to Hungary. So enjoy your time in Hungary. I hope you will be successful in your careers. And if you have an idea, don't waste it, make it a success. Thank you very much.